the unmistakable cheesy mid-70s keyboards of the Captain Tennille.
Love these guys.
You do. Guess whose birthday we have. It's got a 50-50 shot.
It's Captain.
No, not the Captain.
Okay.
Tony Tennille. Tony Tennille is 85. So there's that. The Captain passed away back in 2019. You know the history of how he became the Captain with the whole Captain's cap thing and all that stuff?
No, I do. I actually do not, but I have a feeling you're going to tell me.
I do indeed. He was the touring keyboard player for the Beach Boys from 1967 to 72. And lead singer Mike Love deemed him Captain Keyboard. And he thought Beach Boys, nautical seaside imagery. Wow. So he got a captain's hat, slapped that on his head, and thus became the Captain and Tennille. So you got that. And
that's a sad story, by the way, too, because they divorced. That's like, come on, really?
I know. And after a long time, too. I'm always intrigued by the divorce after 40-some years. It's like, what did you not know?
I know.
So Love Will Keep Us Together, written by Neil Sedaka. And at the end, as it trails out, you can hear Tony Tennille singing, da-da-da-da, Sedaka's back. The two other records do that to me one more time, which is lovely. And the worst song ever written by anybody, Muskrat Love. There's a huge amount of forgiveness in my heart for that. So anyway, how are you?
Peculiar.
How's everything?
I'm good.
How's your
It's better. It's a weird day, though, isn't it? Because it's like the first time in weeks where there's not like one explosive story after another. It's kind of like one of the good old days. Well, what's the big A topic?
You know, it's funny. Everything is relative, and I guess without one enormous nuclear strength atomic story, I guess it's sort of a treadmill of continuing narratives. Trade deals underway. Trump under fire from every corner, which he's always going to be. Conclave continues. Big beautiful bill has to pass. So yes, it's just sort of a churning narrative. You're right. There's no one.
There's not like any, because there's days when there's like a big enormous big red flag a topic, and today there's just not. Because I go, I'm probably typical like you. In the morning, I get up at 6:30 in the morning. I start going through all my sites and my stack of stuff, and there's just not a lot of big. Now, of course, the news with the UK is a big deal. How about Bernie scoffing at having to fly commercial?
No. He was all with Brett Baer yesterday, and the wonder once again, Brett Baer, the show where everybody can come and be treated with respect and deference, and he was scolding Bernie for doing his anti-oligarchy. It's all about the oligarchs, and yet you're flying private. Right? And Bernie essentially said, what am I supposed to do? Stand in line at United for 30 minutes? I've turned him into Jackie Mason now. Sometimes I turn him into Doc Brown, but now he's Jackie Mason. I'm going to tell you, he's got a point.
Oh, be quiet. He does not. He's a socialist. He's a socialist. He cares about the middle class. He cares about the Oh, come on. Don't give him any grace for saying something that stupid. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Stand in line at United? You're going to defend that, Mark? What the heck is wrong with you?
Anybody has, if you're Bernie Sanders, you're Bernie Sanders. Let's make you Bernie. Let's channel Bernie. We're going to channel Bernie. Marty, get in the DeLorean. Channeling Bernie. And you've got 5 events in 5 days, talking to 30,000 people. What are you going to do?
You get on United because you're a socialist. You're a comrade.
And this is a point. Don't stop it. Don't make this a posturing point today, because of course you have a point. Of course you do. That if you are the anti-oligarch, if you are the socialist, you should probably find a crop duster that will get you there in an open air.
And if you're AOC, you don't fly first class. They're hypocrites, Mark. If you're AOC, you don't get a picture taken of you up there eating shrimp cocktail in first class. They're fighting for the little guy. But they're not fighting for the little guy. Bernie Sanders is rich. Bernie Sanders has multiple homes.
He's a millionaire. Absolutely.
Right. But to actually physically say, to open his mouth and say, like you said in your Jackie Mason impression, what am I going to do? Stand online? And by the way, online, it was the very northeastern way of saying in line. They like to say online up there. Staying on. What am I going to do? Stand online at United? Well, yeah.
What do you think I'm doing?
Golly. I'm going to have a good chat with Bill Bunkley. I don't know if you know much about Bill. He's a great Tampa-based. Yeah,
right?
yeah. He's on our Christian teaching and talk side, but he knows Florida politics. Axios did a big, intriguing piece on Ron DeSantis yesterday. I don't know if you caught it or not, but it was basically, the narrative is his fall from the top of the mountain has been pretty spectacular.
As measured by what?
As measured by his difficulty in corralling the Florida legislature right now, having all kinds of problems here in Florida. Yeah. The Republicans are kind of revolting against him. And ask yourself this question, Mark. Do you see him as the 2028 nominee?
Oh, I don't know. Would he be in the conversation? Of course he would. If, as we talked about yesterday, do we just hand it to Vance if this administration is so awesome? There's an argument that says we do. If not, if there's a big, crazy, wide open primary, DeSantis, Nikki Haley.
No, I don't think DeSantis is. I don't think DeSantis is in the conversation anymore. I think
other than Abbott. By the way, Abbott might be as well. Other than Abbott, name a more noteworthy governor. Name one. Quick, come on.
Well, I'm talking about a noteworthy candidate in 2020.
That's what I mean. But I would suggest that a top 3 noteworthy, high-achieving Republican governor is instantly in the conversation. Where does this come from? This constant desire. I think this is
damaged goods.
This is an echo of the gripe that you had. I don't know if you had it as much as other people for DeSantis forever running against Trump. DeSantis remains an absolute rock star.
But he doesn't.
In 2027, when everybody's running for president of New Hampshire, he won't be governor anymore because he's term limited. So he may fade. He may fade from the front of the pack.
He's not the rock star. Nope, not at all. That's wish. I'll tell you. First of all, it's wishful thinking on your part because you like the guy, and that's fine. Yeah, and he's a good governor. I mean, I say as a governor.
What will block him? What will make him a forgotten persona non grata?
You already addressed it. Most of MAGA's base doesn't forgive him for running against Trump, and I'm just telling you, it wasn't his time.
MAGA's base has forgotten that already.
No, they haven't. Oh, you're wrong.
Does MAGA hate Ted Cruz?
Ted
Cruz.
No, but that's apples and oranges.
That was apples and oranges. Cruz and Trump went mano a mano. It was a bloodbath, and Cruz came around, become Trump's best buddy, and now all is forgiven.
Whole different story.
Tell me how it's different.
Because Cruz challenged Trump right out of the gate in 2016. Yeah. It was Donald Trump's time. Everybody knew it, and Ron DeSantis was advised against running against him, and he did it anyway. No, you're giving way too much credence to thinking that everybody's forgotten about it. I'm telling you, the guy is done. He's done in national politics. He's got the wife.
Okay.
He's got the wife. They got this big scandal where the wife wants to be his successor. Which, by the way, there's nothing good about that idea. Nothing good about that.
And he kind of wanted. There was a thought that he would name Casey to fill the Rubio vacancy for the U.S. Senate. So
that's exactly right. So there's a lot of bad feelings right now in Florida about DeSantis. And look, he is an effective governor. I'm not disputing that.
The most important thing. All this other stuff is window dressing and sideshows.
Well, we'll let the game come to us. We'll see what happens in a couple of years. I just think that it is fascinating. I'm going to talk to Bill today about his supposed fall. I mean, they got Republican consultants saying it's like a made-for-TV movie. This guy remember, at one point was beating Trump in the polls, and then sort of dropped off the cliff. And
it was never real. I mean, his lead in the poll was just a function of. So sometimes when people first get in, there's kind of a phony puff of initial enthusiasm.
Maybe time will tell. How about some of the?
30 seconds. I will say this because the strongest point you have is his inability to wrangle the Florida legislature. Florida still has red flag laws.
You better believe it. And Florida also, and Florida has skyrocketing property taxes, crazy HOA fees. There's a lot of challenges here. And what is DeSantis worried about? Banning fluoride. I mean, my goodness. I mean, I get it, and people get fired up about it. That's one of those red meat topics. People get all excited about it. Oh, we shouldn't. All right, well then let's. And I kind of agree with it. You know, it's a little bit like the shot. If you don't want a medicine in your water, which technically Florida, I get it. So go buy a fluoride toothpaste. Don't put it in the drinking water, I guess. But in the scheme of things, I'm not sure that's what people are sitting around fretting about here in Florida. So how about some of these Republicans like James Lankford insisting that illegals have a right to due process? How about Tom Tillis in North Carolina blocking Ed Martin? You know what this feels like to me, Mark? And I don't know if this is if you think I'm over exaggerating. It does feel like an attempted coup. They're trying to sabotage the Trump agenda, don't you?
There are those who are trying to attract positive attention to themselves by going rogue. Two cases. Lankford, there was a quote of, I think we've both seen it. I don't think he believes in, lengthy weeks-long jury trials. The bottom line is should there be due process for every deportation case? Yes. And in most of their cases, it should take about 20 seconds. Did you come into the country illegally? Yes. Bye. Bingo. You have documentation that you should be in the country? Yes. Okay, you can stay. Are you here illegally? Yes. Bye. Due process. Boom. There you go.
But we should give no quarter to the other side that wants to gum up the system by keeping illegals here, by providing millions and millions and James Lankford is doing that. Why? I mean, and I just get worried about some of the people on our side. Look at Mark Wayne Mullen. Now, I like that guy. See him on TV, right? Hey, did you hear what he said about Michael Byrd, the guy that shot and killed Ashley Babbitt? Yep. We found a clip. It was on social media because Mark Wayne Mullen is coming out, against Tom Tillis, saying, well, some of these people are very emotional about January 6th and they can't let it go. You want to know who was emotional about January 6th? Mark Wayne Mullen. You know what he said about Michael Byrd?
The guy who shot Ashley Babbitt. Mm-hmm.
Right. He said he had never used lethal force before. This is in an interview that we found. He had never used lethal force. He was very emotional and distraught. And I went up and gave him a hug. That's Mark Wayne Mullen. So it's like not a great look, I mean.
Speaking of January 6th, let's go to Tillis. And you said this yesterday, which gives just you ahead of the curve as you always are. Tom Tillis found it in his heart to vote for all kinds of Biden nominees who are against everything he believes in. And yet he stands in the way of Ed Martin for Trump's pick for U.S. Attorney for D.C. And so there's a huge outrage about Tom Tillis, rightfully so. You've I think, identified him as being toast in his reelection. We'll see if that's true. Did you see I had a little bit of a dust-up go-around with Eric Erickson on X?
No, you did? Oh, you went back and forth with Eric Erickson?
One back and one forth. Because here Eric was. And Eric, like a lot of people, is really great on 75% of stuff. But every once in a while, the real hardcore MAGA grassroots conservatives just annoy and rankle him. And he's what's with all this whining? What's with all of this posturing about everybody? Again? What you need to go change Tom Tillis's mind. What's all of the whining? And I hopped on. I don't really reply. I simply reposted and said, this is a garbage take. What Tom Tillis is feeling is the righteous indignation of people who cannot figure out why he would stand in the way of a thoroughly deserving Trump nominee. He came back at me in the wee hours and said, well, you may think it's a garbage take, but what really has to happen is you can't advance the nomination without Tom Tillis, and so they really need to go about changing his mind. And whining on Twitter doesn't do anything. And I said, well, guess what, Eric? You know what whining on Twitter sometimes does? Number one, it's not whining. Number two, it's righteous online indignation, so maybe a senator can realize the foolishness of his action. Boom.
I'm with you. I'm on team Mark. How maybe tomorrow we'll cover how the cast of Trump's favorite musical is going to boycott the Kennedy Center performance of Les Mis. You see this story?
At least I've learned that Cats is not his favorite musical anymore.
No, he likes Les Mis. He likes the classics, and he does like Cats.
Even the classics that are stupid.
Well, yeah, a lot of people hate Les Mis, but
Les Mis is great.
All right, so it's one of his favorite musicals. On June 11th, they're going to have a performance of Les Mis at the Kennedy Center.
I think the president might even be there in a box for that.
He will be. Who won't be there are apparently Jean Valjean, Javert, the master of the house. That's right.
With the president due to be there in the box,
yes, they won't perform.
Cast is thinking of boycott.
No, they're not thinking. They're out. They've already said they were given the opportunity to sit out. and by the producers, which means I had a friend of mine who's in theater who said they ought to fire every last one of those.
100%.
But they're not going to fire them because the producers are giving them the producers are giving them the option. And
is there a cast of talented understudies ready to go? Is this like,
there will be.
Are there stabs? Are there like the air traffic?
There will be. There will be. But here's what I'm intrigued by. Yeah, but you know what I'm thinking?
What?
Pragmatic Mike. I know that theater world. I kind of feel sorry for those actors because they're going to get hammered. They're going to get in trouble for actually performing because the show will go on.
Will lift them up. They will be heroes. Trump will love them each individually, I'm sure.
Right.
But
that's not the world they're in, Mark. They're not in Trump's world.
Being on stage that night will be a wonderful moment of heroism and maybe the last time they're on a stage of any type for anything.
Do you hear the people singing the songs of angry men? I may go to the Kennedy Center on June 11th. What the heck?
There may be an opening for you. Let's go.
Hey, I could play. I'd be good. I'd be a good master of the house. Remember the innkeeper, the frumpy, crazy. I'd love that. I could play. You could play that part actually. No, you'd be.
Right,
you be Jean Valjean and I'll be Javert chasing you all over the stage.
I love it.
All right, goodbye. I love you. See you.
Thursday, Mike Gallagher ready to go. 10 o'clock as soon as we're done on 660 AM. The Answer.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.